Chapter 1238, Hypothesis. After dealing with the spoils of war and bestowing the purified shaman king Beyonder characteristic to Emlyn White, Klein was in no hurry to leave Sephra Castle. He simply reviewed the battle today. One thing he focused on was Abomination Sua's performance in various aspects, so as to assess how powerful an angel was. If I encounter him head-on and do not hold back, I might not even have a chance to summon an angel projection, unless I succeed on my first attempt. Of course, my target, Dark Demon Wolf, is a Sequence 2 Miracle Invoker. As for Abomination Sua, he is already a Sequence 1. The gap between the two is likely quite significant. However, Dark Demonic Wolf shares the same seer pathway as me. He suppresses me in every aspect. I can only be thankful that he hasn't completed the ritual and advanced to Sequence 1, or I wouldn't have any hope of winning. Sequence 1. As his thoughts raced, Klein's gaze suddenly constricted as he sat straight. He had thought of a possibility in a moment of inspiration. Could the Dark Demonic Wolf, Cotter, have advanced and become a Sequence 1 attendant of mysteries? He created a marionette city to mislead possible trackers, such as Angel of Time Ammon. It can't be ruled out. Yes, there's another possibility. The Dark Demonic Wolf Cotter is in complete control of that curtain and has the strength of a quasi-Sequence 1. The more Klein thought about it, the more he realized that the operation was more dangerous than he imagined. The Dark Demonic Wolf has survived in the forsaken land of the gods for so many years. Even a god of trickery like Ammon is unable to capture him. This means that his strength and intelligence has reached a rather high level. I still have to make more preparations for hunting him. Klein frowned slightly and slowly exhaled. Backland, Westborough, within the Odora family's villa. Emlyn sat on a leather sofa in the living room, crossed his right leg, and placed it on his left thigh, patiently waiting for Baron Cosme to enter. Before long, the middle-aged sanguine Baron entered the living room and swept his gaze across Emlyn. "Viscount White, why are you visiting so late at night?" Emlyn smiled and said, "Isn't this just the beginning of a day? Look, the crimson moon outside the window is so beautiful." Cosme wanted to retort to the young sanguine, pointing out how Emlyn followed the good practice of waking up at 7 in the morning and sleeping before 11 back when he went to the Harvest Church. After a moment of hesitation, he resisted the urge and said, "What's the matter?" Emlyn raised his hand to pat the gown, tugged at his bow tie, and slowly got up. He raised his chin slightly and said, "Tell Lord Nibs that he can begin preparing for the Earl conferment ritual." Cosme instinctively asked, "What are you talking about?" Just as he said that, he suddenly came to a realization as he recalled Emlyn's previous application. "Why you obtained an Earl? No, a Shaman King's Beyonder characteristic." Emlyn enjoyed this very moment as he replied with a smile, "Did you think I was just joking when borrowing Vision of White?" As he spoke, he took out the bronze box inlaid with many ruby gems. He opened it and revealed the eyeball-shaped glass sphere inside, indicating that he hadn't lost it and was about to return it. Cosme's eyes flickered as he said, "The Rose School of Thought's Temperance faction still has such powerful strength. Then why did they cooperate with you?" The upper echelons of the Sanguine in Backland, which was also the grandfather of Cosme, Marquis Nibs Odora, didn't think highly of Emlyn's previous application. He wanted to wait for the cooperation with the Rose School of Thought to fall through before Emlyn had no choice but to seek help from him or their demigods. Emlyn glanced at him and replied with a smile, "It's a secret." This was the tone he learned from J.M. and Sparrow. He found it cool and thought that it suited his preferences. At the same time, this was the key point that the Hanged Man had repeatedly told him during the free exchange of the Tarot Club. Only by maintaining a sense of mystery would the upper echelons of the Sanguine experience certain fear. This prevented them from finding excuses or using their status to take away the Shaman King characteristic. Without waiting for Cosme to respond, Emlyn threw the bronze box containing the Vision of White and buttoned up his suit. He walked past the Baron and walked to the door of the living room. As he was about to leave, Emlyn stopped. Without turning his head, he straightened his back and looked straight ahead. "Remember to address me as Earl next time." With the ancestors' blessings and the importance the moon had placed on him, he was filled with confidence in becoming a shaman king. Cosme's facial muscles twitched, but he maintained his silence. Only after Emlyn left did he find it difficult to control his warped expression. As a sanguine who had existed since the time of Roselle, he was many years older than Emlyn, but he remained a baron. He was just slightly better than those without a noble title. As for Emlyn, who was considered a laughingstock amongst the younger generation of the Backland Sanguine, he was about to cross the border separating mortals and gods. He would become a Sequence 4 shaman king, a sanguine earl. How could Cosme not lose his composure? How could he not be jealous? How could he not be shocked? After spending a few minutes to control his emotions, he headed down to the basement. Passing through several secret doors, he arrived at the gray hall where Nibs was sleeping. "Grandfather, Emlyn's operation has succeeded." Inside the black iron coffin, there was a brief silence. After 3 or 4 seconds, Nibs finally said, "The faction backing him is beyond our imagination." This sanguine Marquis's voice was deep and old, with a hint of hoarseness as it echoed in the hall. "Grandfather, Emlyn succeeded by relying on the vision of white. A portion of the items he obtained rightfully belongs to the race," Cosme said with some anticipation, feeling somewhat indignant. Nibs's voice grew louder. "Buffoon! To be able to hunt a shaman king while the Rose School of Thought was clearly prepared, is that something any faction can do? The Rose School of Thought's Temperance faction has been in shambles for years, so how much strength can it have left? At most, they have an angel in a poor condition, or a grade 0 sealed artifact, as well as 2 to 3 demigods. All these put together wouldn't be able to restrain Abomination Sua and the Rose School of Thought's other angels, other grade 0 sealed artifacts, a sizable number of demigods, as well as the chained god's projection and the blessings of the Mother Tree of Desire. If Emlyn's operation succeeded, then you can count how many angels and grade 0 sealed artifacts are needed at the very least. This is a power that can match ours. In the future, don't deliberately investigate Emlyn and his other companions." After shouting a few more times, Nibs coughed twice, clearly struggling. Cosme's face turned pale as he finally calmed down. "Then, are you really going to prepare a ritual for him?" "What else?" Nibs returned with a question before sighing. Perhaps after Emlyn took the risk for the Sanguine's future, the ancestor has truly begun showing her concern for him. Fogsy La Cha Island. After leaving the future on the safe sea route, Admiral of Stars, Katlia used her fairytale magic to arrive at a mountain peak. She recited a passage in Jotun to an empty cliff. "Open sesame." A path immediately appeared on the cliff, as though it was real and illusory. It was unknown where it led to. Katlia made use of her prophetic means to make a simple assessment of any danger. Then, she stepped onto the path and ventured deep into the cliff. As she walked, her vision cleared up. She saw the sea that appeared clear like sapphires and a beautiful castle made of pure emerald. This was Queen Mystic, Bernadette's Emerald City. Katlia wasn't unfamiliar with this place. She easily passed the questions and tests of the magical guards and came to the half-open room that provided the best vista in the castle. The tall queen was standing behind the railing, looking at the waves that surged forward. For some reason, Katlia's hidden excitement, thrill, and joy suddenly calmed down at that moment, as she felt a sense of security and freedom. Back when she cruised the seas, she would occasionally feel lonely and sad, like a leaf that had left its tree, allowing the wind to bring her to different places. Now, she seemed to have fallen back to the ground, right beside the tree. She opened her mouth, momentarily at a loss for words. Finally, she nudged the heavy glasses on her nose and simply greeted, "Good afternoon, Your Majesty." Bernadette turned around and nodded. "I summoned you back to Emerald City because I have some things to hand over to you." Katlia instinctively asked, "Why are you handing them over to me?" The queen had a secret organization like Element Dawn and a group of pirates under her. Bernadette didn't directly answer Katlia's question as she said, "I previously received a clue and left Backland in a hurry." "I remember the matter," Katlia interjected. Bernadette's long and straight eyebrows twitched slightly. Through this clue, I managed to piece together an incomplete sea map from the descendants of Edwards, William, and Poley. It records the area my father had explored in the Fog Sea those years. With the help of this sea map and my prophetic abilities, I can roughly guess that a particular area out at sea that is far away from the safe sea route might be hiding his secret. I plan on heading there on the dawn to do an extended search. I'm not sure when I can return. Perhaps I will never be able to return. Therefore, I have to hand over some items and matters to you in advance. After listening carefully, Catlia said without hesitation, "I'll go with you." "It is my father. This is something I have to do alone." Queen Mystic Bernadette slowly shook her head. Catlia fell silent for a few seconds before saying, "If you don't return, I would do the same."